it's that emotional drive that you have inside that says, this is awesome, this is exciting, this is where I need to be, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and you go. But at some point, that emotion fades. Welcome back to the Tailgate, and thank you for joining me for our 5th episode together, where today we're going to be addressing and talking about motivation and consistency, and how I've found a pattern of those two things in my life, and that I'm working to make sure I can move forward. And maybe we'll find something together in there that'll benefit you as well. As the great Wriggle Blue Tang Dory said, just keep swimming. Let's get after it. Motivation has never been a real issue for me. I have no problem getting started. Now there's been a few times there's been things that I kind of drag my feet on, absolutely. But for the most part, if something strikes me, if there's an idea or a project or something that hits home, man, I'm guns a-blazing and I'm going, right? If you want to learn a little bit more about some of this that I'm talking about, you can go to substack.com/tailgate chat to read the article I wrote called "Motivation Was Never a Problem for Me." For me, I can get out there, and if I have this idea, and it's like a driving force, and these things come at me sometimes, and they have in my past, and I'm full bore ahead. I start strong. I'm running after it. I can see something that's growing, that can grow, that can do something, and I'm all for it, right? The vision part is really easy for me. Some people, that's not their starting point, right? Some people don't see a vision. I can see the vision. That's where I'm strongest. And I can get the idea, and I can start seeing how pieces will put together. And I love that. That's exciting for me. That is where my energy comes in. And that's where I am gung-ho. It was the same thing with this podcast, just for an example, right? I had the idea, probably last May, and I was writing. The idea was for the book, and I started writing, and I kind of felt lost after a little while. Man, I put 30 pages down in no time flat, and then it was just kind of like my thoughts started intertwining, and I started saying, "Is this really going to work? Am I saying the same thing over and over again?" So I decided I took a step back, and then I thought, well, maybe let's put the end in mind. What does it look like? Well, I want to be a speaker, right? We've talked about this. I want to be a speaker. So the book is just a step toward that. Well, how do I launch the book and become a successful writer, right? How do I become a best-selling author? I have to have people that are ready to buy it. I can't just put a book out there and hope people buy it. So I have to have a following of some kind. How do I do that? Well, social media. All right, well, how do I push people to social media? Light bulb, podcast. So I did all kinds of research, and I was never really the guy who loved to just sit down and listen to podcasts. To be quite honest with you, I never really understood it. I guess it's just another form of entertainment or information, right? But it wasn't my thing. So I did some research, and then I started putting everything together. I bought the microphones, we bought the stands, I got stuff together, but then I was like, I don't really know. And I've talked about this. You go back to some of the other episodes. Episode 2, I think, really talks about me getting that jump start and getting it going. So, but that's just one example. I get going and then kind of pull back. I get going and pull back. I've had that in businesses that I've started. I get super energized. Our nonprofits I've started, and they are running, and I'm getting all the groundwork laid. But then once that part is done, and the daily repetition comes in, that's the thing that kind of gets to me. I take a step back a little bit. It's the daily grind, right? That's not what's exciting. The doing the day-to-day, that's not exciting. What's exciting is the creativity part of it. That's what is exciting to me. So what I found as I've looked back and doing that reflection that I've talked about as well in other episodes is that when I start looking at it and I I hit that daily grind and I look at it and I go, is this really the right time for this? Is this really the right idea? Is this thing going to work? Are people going to like it? Is this even my purpose? And I've let those things creep in, and but I got to tell you, they were just excuses. The hard truth is that I was scared. It was the fear that I've talked about in episodes 2, 3, and a little bit in 4 as well. It's the fear that kind of gets in there and starts giving, hey, this excuse has validity. This excuse fits. But that's all it is an excuse. And it's the fear that is letting that come forward. I tell you, sometimes this fear that I let sink in, it's crippling. And it's just that I have to find a way to get past it. I have to find a way to take what is freaking me out, we've talked about the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of success, right? Those 3 big things. They get in the way. And I can come up with all kinds of excuses. I did it with this podcast. If you follow us, you know I put out 2 episodes pretty quick. Boom, boom. And then life happened, right? We went on a vacation and I did this and then we moved. But I could have sat down and put the camera out and filmed it. But I always had something else that was more pressing. And I put it back. I pushed the podcast back. I pushed the writing back. I pushed the goals and the vision and the purpose back for something else that was not nearly as important, that was not truly a reason. It was an excuse. I can say that those are valid ideas, those are valid reasons. I can say that in business that I've had in the past. That's a valid reason. That idea really wasn't going to come to fruition, or people weren't really going to buy that. But at the end of the day, all I'm doing is giving that fear validity without taking the accountability. But what this all leads to is talking about motivation. Motivation is that ignition. And I'll tell you what, that's fire for me. I love it. The motivation is the ignition that gets the journey started. It's what gets you out on the field. It's what helps you charge the hill on orders, because go get them, right? It's what Coach Newt Rockney, getting everybody fired up in the locker room before the big game. That's the motivation. You have that. It's that emotional drive that you have inside that says, this is awesome. This is exciting. This is where I need to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And you go. But at some point, that emotion fades. At some point, that drive, that adrenaline boost, whether it's short-term or long-term, it takes a step back. It slows down. And then you start thinking, right? That's when the fear creeps in. That's when those excuses start coming in. Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this really the thing? It's consistency is what's going to help you get past that. It is consistency. You have to come up with a system, and we're going to talk about this here in a second. This is what I have done to try to help myself fight this issue with my podcast and with connecting with you and with writing and with future speaking. I have to create systems, which I've done, to help me get past the fear, helps me fight the fear, because at some point the fear is going to test us. It's already done it to me. I mean, like I said, I did 2 episodes and then was off for like 3 months. And then I came back and I did 2 episodes, boom, boom, right? In early January and February. And then it's been like a month now since I put one out. And it's the fear, right? Do I really want to do this? Is this really what I'm doing? So what I've done is I've sat down and I've created some systems to help create consistency. I sit down in front of my computer on a Sunday morning and go over ideas I've had for the week. I jot them down. I use ChatGPT. I jot the ideas down. And then on Sunday morning, I sit down and I review them. Monday morning, I have a meeting with myself and I go over what's the plan for the week. I've created release timelines now where on Monday morning, I'm going to write for 30 minutes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, film something or get the idea for filming, get the idea started for writing. And then by Wednesday, we've got a LinkedIn post, and then we have a social media post on TikTok. And then we're getting ready. By Thursday, we film. And then hopefully by Friday, we've got the film edited and the podcast edited, and we're ready to go out. I have to create these systems so that I have accountability for what I'm doing, because what it is at the end of the day that I've come up with, that I've discovered, is that motivation is the ignition, consistency is the endurance that moves us forward. Fear is going to test us. That's what the consistency is for, to help that. But then it's the purpose that sustains us. We've identified the purpose. My purpose is to tell people about my struggles. My purpose is to tell people about the importance of having purpose, how to find it, and how to develop it, right? That's what we're talking about here. And so the consistency, the systems are helping me create the consistency to fight the fear when it tests me so that I can fulfill the purpose. I hope that wasn't too fast, and I hope that makes sense. I hope you're able to follow me. In some cases, I've had the fear stop me before I even get started. This is an example. I've talked about this before as well. I've had this idea to write this book on purpose for, 7 years now? And the fear, I don't know how to write a book. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get started. I don't know how to sell it. I don't know how to publish it. Just the fear kept me from even getting started. Now, that's not always the case. This time around, I said, the hell with it, and I jumped in. And once I just did it, then the fear creeped in. That's happened in other stages in my life as well. Have you had that happen? If you sit back and take a look and think back over your life, do you have that moment where you've had that thing you were striving for? It could be that you're older and you're going for your MBA and you've been into it for 6 months, a year, and you're like, this is really hard. Kids have soccer, another kid has basketball, cheerleading, baseball. Good golly, baseball, right? That thing. If your kid plays travel league baseball, you really don't have time for much else. You're kind of that's a full-time commitment right there. You almost need to get paid to do that, except you pay thousands of dollars to do it. You had that time when those things start to creep in. What is the consistency that helps keep you going? So fear doesn't always hit you from the beginning. Sometimes fear creeps in along the way. Fear creeps in and starts whispering in your ear when the mundane hits, when the day-to-day comes, and you don't see anymore the excitement every day. And that's when the fear kind of speaks loudest. That's where the accountability, the consistency comes in. Because fear is strategic. The devil's going to use it to come up on you when you're not ready. When you got that motivation going, and you're firing on all cylinders, he's just sitting back waiting. Once things start to slow down, start to get into a little bit more of a even keel, that's when he pops up around the corner and taps on the glass. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Sure you want to be doing this? Is this really where you need to be right now? Sometimes it shows up in the middle. And that's when it starts to, when everything starts to feel real, like, wow, this is really working. Is this really what I need to be doing? And, the more I've thought about it, I talked about this as well. I think I've got this quote that it's popular, it's out there, but I used it a couple of times. Motivation wins battles, consistency wins wars. But as I'm looking at it through this lens now, part of me is kind of thinking, is the war really between motivation and consistency like it was when I started this journey on this article? And I'm starting to think that maybe the real war is between fear and purpose. Maybe the real war is between fear and purpose, and it's not motivation and consistency. Consistency is the battlefield. How about that? The consistency is the battlefield that you're fighting between fear and purpose. Accountability, that's where everything gets real. We just mentioned it. You have to be accountable to yourself, to your purpose, to your family, to your community, to all of the things that are revolved around this project or this thing you're doing. You have to be accountable to it, and you have to understand, and you have to be ready to step up and say, yes, the fear is there. Yes, the fear is here. Because if you don't, it'll sneak in and it'll take over. You have to accept that this fear is there, and you have to own it. Because until you do, it will own you. You can't let the timing's not right, or it's a bad idea, or this is a misalignment. If this is something that you feel is truly your purpose, you can't let any of that mess get in your way. You have to stop blaming other things. All you can do is see it, accept it, and own it. And once you do that, you can move past it. Once you've identified it and you own it, you can move beyond it. Stop with the excuses. That's what I tell myself every day. Stop with the excuses. Because I'll tell you, I got a bunch of them. I'm almost a professional at it. Ask my wife. She'll tell you. She points it out on a regular, she used to. She points it out. That's an excuse. That sounds like an excuse. I don't mean for it to be an excuse, but it is. And so we have to understand that and accept it and own it. The real war is staying. Not waiting, starting, not wanting it or start, it is, you have to stay. That's where the consistency comes in. The consistency is staying. You can want it all day long. Doesn't matter. You can start it. It doesn't matter. It's the staying that matters. You have to stay through the fear. And I'll tell you, I told you a little bit about some of the systems that I've put in place. But for me to be accountable to you, this is what it looks like. Every day I'm writing 500 words before the day gets going. I get up in the morning, I start the coffee, and I go sit down in my office. I open my laptop, and I write 500 words. Not about anything in particular. They generally seem to be along the path of purpose and things that I'm going to use to expand this arc that we're on right now, this universe, if you will. But generally speaking, for the most part, it's just about what's in my head, that right there is kind of the hard part, because I don't have a problem. Once I get the flow, I can start writing. It's trying to figure out what to write. And I figured out that's what my problem was when writing the book. So I have to exercise this muscle that's in between my ears, and I have to, on a regular basis, write consistently. And the consistency helps me get past the fear. When I wrote this article that this podcast is built around, I had this idea for motivation and consistency and how those two things go. And I sat looking at my computer for a week. I couldn't get past it. I couldn't figure out why. And that's how the article actually came about, because of that. Because as I was discovering, thinking, talking, and working through these issues, I discovered that I kind of felt like I was a hypocrite. Because I'm trying to tell you that motivation, is a great way to get started, but consistency is the way to go. It wasn't until I actually took a step back and I was like, oh, that's what I do. So I'm not sitting here telling you how to be consistent. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you how you can leverage motivation and leverage consistency. I'm telling you what I'm trying to do is tell you how I do it. What I have learned, what I have discovered, to try to get past a barrier that I have discovered in my own life. Because at the end of the day, I'm not I'm not trying to be a self-help guru. I'm trying to figure this out on my own. I'm trying to figure this out as we go. And I thought, well, why the hell not see if anybody else out there is struggling with the same things? Pretty sure there are. And so the idea for this podcast is to talk directly to you and let you know you're not, I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe we can figure it out together. I would love for us to figure this out together, because heaven knows I am not the brightest bulb in the box, and I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I'll tell you this, I do know enough to know that I think as a group of people, we can figure things out together and we can move forward. Now, I'll tell you, this isn't going to be easy. And I know right now that this thing I'm doing, trying to write every day and putting together these systems to keep this thing going and move forward on this path and be able to get together with you on a regular basis, it's not easy. I've already discovered that it's not easy. And, but I've also made an important decision that I'm not going to let fear decide I'm not going to let fear decide for me. I'm done letting fear make excuses for me not doing the things that I know I need to do, and that I know that I am driven and that I have a God-given purpose to do. So as we've done the last couple of episodes together, I'm going to give honor where honor is due. So, Father, you know the fear that rises when something begins to matter. You know how easy it is to drift when the excitement fades and the middle gets quiet. Strengthen me and anyone else walking this road right now to stay faithful to the purpose you've placed on our lives. As your word says in Galatians 6:9, let us not grow weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap the harvest if we do not give up. Help us hold on to the promise when fear tries to pull us away. Give us endurance where there is fatigue, clarity where there is doubt, and courage where there is hesitation. Help us choose purpose over fear and faithfulness over comfort. Amen. Thank you for spending some time with me here on the tailgate today. We'll meet again soon, and if you could do me another favor, I ask it at the end of every one of these episodes, and I humbly ask that if you could just, follow us wherever you get your podcasts, hit the like button, hit the share button, go ahead and go visit us on tailgatechatpodcast.com, and let's help grow this community. Do me a favor. If this resonated with you, leave me a comment, send me an email. I'll reply to every one of them, I promise. I just want to be able to connect with you guys, because we're at the end of the day, my goal is to create a tribe of people that are going through the same struggles together, because I know we can do it together much easier than we can alone. Until next time, we'll see you right here on the tailgate. Let's get after it.